We should talk about Lucas Moura, shouldn't we? I'm interested to know what you think because it was a wonderful, wonderful way to finish the game, wasn't it? It was a wonderful end to his career. Picks the ball up on the right hand side, dribbles through. I mean, if I'm going to be super cynical, that was a Leeds team dead on its feet with absolutely zero motivation. But he had to do it, and he had to get through. And it was a great goal.
It was a great goal, and he dines out in those situations. A team that's dog meat, they're tired. He's come on as a sub, and he's like a street footballer, isn't he? He'll just run past people, and that's kind of almost vintage Lucas Moura, isn't it? You know, just running past people and scoring a goal. And he did that. He's done that quite a few times over the years at Spurs. Yeah, he has kind of a checkered kind of reputation at Tottenham because, and I've said this before, that at Tottenham, at the stadium, you get big reactions for Kane, you get big reactions for Son, and the third biggest reaction you will hear is Lucas Moura from the crowd. When he is announced on the team sheet or on the bench or coming on as a sub, he gets a big reaction every single time. People love him, and people love him because of Ajax, and people don't care what tweets he liked, and most people don't know about that stuff, as horrible as it is. But he's a club legend, whether you like it or not.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it like how do you place him with other players? Like when you say club legend, what group? Because he's not Kane, is he? He's not Son. He's not Lineker. He's not Gascoigne. But where is it? What pool of players do you think he sits with? Defoe, sort of Ginola, Lennon.
Yeah, no,
probably less so Lennon.
I think he's above like Lennon, but less than, because you have to think about Ajax. Ajax away. It is a game that we talk about every year. It's marked by an anniversary every single year. Every time we watch the clips of it, we feel a percentage of that emotion again. Yeah. And football and legends and footballers, it's about feeling, and it's about how they make you feel. It's not about trophies or things like that. It's about how they made you feel. And I do really, I almost do look at Lennon and Defoe as legends because they make me feel a certain way, particularly Aaron Lennon, that sound of the seats going up whenever he would pick up the ball on the right hand side. I do have a strong affection for him, and I have a strong affection for Jermaine Defoe. And that moment, I perhaps don't have a strong affection for Lucas Moura, the human being, but as a footballer, and because of that moment, he is a club legend. He just is.
I say moreover than not just. I mean, because of that moment, it's probably up there with Gazza's goal against Arsenal. In recent times, the most iconic moment. It may even be more iconic than that Gascoigne moment when the dust has settled. That image of Lucas Moura jumping up in the air, similar but celebrating in a similar way to Gascoigne, actually, weirdly, is iconic. And I think because he is a mercurial player, that perhaps he won't, and the obviously the political nature of his tweets and what he believes is right for his country, impacts how some people see him, and they will judge his football with the same sort of opinion, the same viewpoint. I see him as this. I see him as a supporter of a far right or a right wing president, and so I can never like him regardless of what he does. There will be people like that. But for me, just looking at his football, many times he's done incredible things and scored really important goals in big moments. I put a tweet out yesterday saying very few will turn up like he's turned up for Tottenham. And I think people will look at that and go, well, actually, no, there's loads of games where he's just a bit terrible and running down alleyways. But in really big moments, he's been there. Think of like Barcelona, the one to draw in 88th minute. In order for us to even have Ajax, we had to have that. He scored goals at Man United away. He scored goals at Man City. Do you remember the header to draw 2-2, Pochettino's final season? Big games. He was a big game player, and we don't have many of them. Very few. He's turned up in bigger games, in bigger moments, in knockout tournaments more often than Harry Kane has. I'm not saying he's better.
No, of course not.
He's a big game player. He is, and that is, I can't not rate that.
No, and that Champions League run, Harry Kane obviously did his ankle, didn't he? Fabian Delph took him out, and he done his ankle big time. And Lucas Moura picked it up. He said, "Don't worry, Harry, I've got this, mate."
He pretty much did.
Don't worry, mate.
And then
I've got this.
was Lucas Moura dropped for the final? Wasn't he?
He was dropped for the final. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, shame.
Didn't agree with that. Didn't agree with that at the time. Thought he should have played.
It
But,
would,
you know.
yeah, he deserved to play. He absolutely deserved to play. Like, sentimental reasons aside, he got us there. To him to then be on the bench is like, what, you know. But this is the other thing is you never heard him complain. You never heard him complain about not being in the starting lineup. He was just there to pull in the direction that the team wanted him to, and he's always handled himself in that way. And you know, you saw the emotions after the final whistle, but in his interview, this geezer genuinely cares about our club. There are players that couldn't give a shit about our club that are thought with or held in higher esteem than Lucas Moura is, and they don't care about us. Whereas he was in floods of tears, and you look at him, and you think, well, over the 6 years, is this reaction warranted? Because you haven't there's been these moments, these clutch moments where he's pulled in, but he's not even been a starter for a lot of it. But he loves the club.
Yeah, he does, and he's not to defend him. I'm not defending him at all. Honestly, I'm not. But he's a product of his environment.
You're talking about the politics.
The politics,
yeah, of course.
and stuff.
He's
a product of his environment. It's a hyper-religious country. Religion plays such a massive part over there, and these weird kind of fucking beliefs that these people have bleeds into the religion, and it's horrible that it takes that what seems like a genuinely nice guy, Lucas. People always talk about how like he's this lovely guy, but he has these strange fucking political beliefs, and people are flawed, and you're gonna find it very, very hard to find someone that's completely pure and completely up to your standard of what a person should be.
Exactly. I mean, you're judging his entire character by some liked tweets, pretty much. Not having any understanding of why he thinks the way he does. Like, we are a very judgmental nation with very high opinions of how we think people should lead their lives. And like you say, if you grow up in a different environment, you're going to be a different person. If your dad or mother backed Labour as a kid, you will back Labour as a kid. They will shape what you are so that you will follow the political beliefs of the people that brought you up. Every single... obviously, there's different elements to that, and not always 100% true, but by and large, if your dad, mum are Tory and you live in the countryside, you're voting Tory. You're not voting Labour. It's just the way it is. You're a product of your environment. And Lucas Moura, I think that's a fair point, is that you just don't know. You have no idea why he is or thinks the way he does, and religion might be a huge part of it. It's similar stuff with the midfielder from... Christ, sorry, we were linked with him when we had Slot. I can't remember his name now. But he played for Ajax. He's playing for Feyenoord.
Feyenoord, Joe.
Yeah, and he said, he didn't want to wear the rainbow armband because because of his religion, his faith. He actually said, I don't mean to insult anybody, but this is just something I don't feel comfortable with. So he's called a homophobe, but you're coming from a position where it's his faith to not accept this. I don't agree with it, and I think you should wear the rainbow armband to support gay people and trans people and whatever else. But in this instance, he can't because his faith won't allow him, right? So is it Islamophobic to call him a homophobe? In a way, it is. So it's really important sometimes to keep politics out of football. I remember Mickey having a conversation with Mickey Hazard. I'm not name dropping here because he talks to everybody, right? But he said we just need to keep politics out of football. This is a sport, and it should be that way. And I know it's kind of gammony to say that, just let's get on with it.
Yeah, because he's had some interesting tweets as well.
No, I know, but it's sometimes difficult to follow your football club because of all this outside shit. And I think footballers are often, a lot of pressure is put on footballers to follow a political ideal or an ideology when they may not agree with it.